we often talk about how position influences the ranges of motion that we're measuring in the table. We talk about dirty table tests and such. And so I just wanted to give you a representation of that. And so I have borrowed Eric, who works for me here at iFast, and we're going to show you how we can actually manipulate some of these tests, and so you can start to recognize where the influences actually are. So when we talk about deficits, we talk about compressive strategies, we talk about orientation. We're actually going to create two orientations so you can see this. I've also got another camera that's off screen here that's giving you a down the line representation, because we're going to show a hip measure here in just a second, but I want to start with the shoulder measure. So I'm going to just move Eric into a position where I can get a general idea of what his internal rotation of this is his left shoulder. What his internal rotation is under this circumstance. So it stops about right there. It's a pretty hard stop. Now, if I create an anti-orientation of the thorax, what we're going to see is we're going to see an IR-ing of the cervical spine. So I'm going to IR the left side of the cervical spine. Go ahead and lift your head up on the bus. All right, and we're going to put that in there. You make sure that that feels like it's pushing you forward on that left side so we can get a sense of this. So we didn't do anything directly to the thorax. What I've done is I put a let me see if I can get the camera. So there you go. So I put the towel roll underneath his neck. So this is pushing his neck forward, which is internal rotation of the neck. So I'm going to move him into position just like I did before, but now we're going to see a much bigger representation of the shoulder internal rotation. And then just to prove the difference, we'll take it back out, and then we're going to see it stop again. Okay, and so when we get a magnification of internal rotation where we don't expect it to be, this is how we can identify whether this is an orientation that's producing the internal rotation or not. Okay, now we'll take the same concept, and we're going to move down to the pelvis, move the hip into 90 degrees relative to the table, and I'll externally rotate the hip, and so we get a general idea of how much that rotates. And again, I got another camera right here that'll show this down the line so you can see the differential. Now I'm going to have you orient yourself a little bit for me, and then I'm going to block you there. Do I have it in the right place? Okay, so we're blocking this pelvis into a left-sided anterior orientation. And so typically what we're going to see, and does your hip drop to the table when I bring you up? Yeah, okay. And then right away there's the stop. Okay, so quite a bit less just by creating the anterior orientation. Now let me slide that back out. Let your pelvis fall back to the table. We'll move them back into position. And then again, we see the big external rotation. So point being here is like, this is one of the representations of the motions that you're going to lose simply based on the anterior orientation. And we're going to see it in the thorax, and we're going to see it in the pelvis.